A big welcome to True Sport and the coverage of the Autobar 100 Rally, the first round of the WOMZA National Rally Championship. Great to see a nice field of competitors, Class A, B, C and one little D there in the Datsun GX Coupe, with the Van Jaarsveld pulling up the back end of Class D. But needless to say, none of the drivers involved in this championship in 2020, and of course now in 2021, are going to be out of contention for a possible win here in the very first round of the WOMZA National Rally Championship. First stage, and Rinus Plomp and Hannes Pienaar were the first cars out on the track. They looked pretty tasty out of the service area. As always, Rinus Plomp deciding to stick with his roots and staying in the Subaru brand. This time out, we saw him last year debut the Forester, and it looks like he's stuck with his guns and staying in that Forester now for 2021. And looking pretty good at this point in time, getting right up there with a possibility of a top 3 with a great finish across the line. Nice to see these boys come into play. An off-road entry. Yes, that's a Renault Duster that Tiens Joubert and Nico Swartz have built. Unfortunately, Nico and Tiens were caught out with the slightly different rules from off-road to rally. And unfortunately for Tiens, he was still stuck trying to put his helmet on before they got going. So lost a lot of time, but I'm sure they'll be able to make that up throughout the rally stages today. Third car on track will definitely be one to watch out for, as Johann Strauss and Alzan Fenter put their World Rallycross Championship colours onto the side of that incredible Subaru Impreza. And of course, with the Subaru Impreza, the rally heritage that is out there with that type of car is certainly one that you cannot sniff about. And keep an eye out on it, because that could possibly be at the front end by the time we finish up the day's racing. Here's a man who will definitely be in contention. And look at the pace already coming out of that Can-Am side by side. The Can-Am Maverick there being piloted, and I can tell you something, Dean Bradbury and Tim Boertes mean business today. They are absolutely hauling along, and as you can see just from the pictures that we're getting here from the True Sport team out on track, certainly one of the fastest cars we've seen come through here, and arguably going to be one of the fastest cars all day long. This little side-by-side has got a great turn of pace, and certainly will be running at the front end by the time the checkered flag comes out right at the end of the day. Tiki Martin and Jaco Foster will definitely be in contention as well in their Toyota Etios. Now remember, with the two of them, they're going to be fighting out for Class C honours, and that's always a big fought-out field there, and I can tell you, very, very competitive field as well. You've got the likes of the Ford Escorts in there and the Toyota Taz's, and they will definitely be running at the front end if they can in their Etios. All problems here by the looks of things. Yeah, definitely an issue here for Peter Walter and Sean de Villiers. Their Can-Am Maverick is pulled to the sideline. See Kurbis running across there just to see if everything's okay. Looks like there might be a little bit of an issue there. Technical problem on that Can-Am. And hopefully they'll be able to get back up and running. If they can, at least they'll be able to finish the stage and get back into the pit area and hopefully be able to sort that car out. We saw how quick the side-by-side was earlier on as the Can-Am Maverick came through earlier on with the other team of Boertes and pushing it to the limit in that machine. But I can tell you, Bradbury and Boertes, they had a much better run through here than these two are having. So a little bit of issues there to be sorted out. They've got it going again, but probably going to have lost a huge amount of time, and we'll have to try and make that up as they get into the thick of it today. At least they have got back on track and got going again, but there'll be a little bit of a concern there, because this is only stage 1, and of course with special stage 1 you need to be ensuring that you get those points in the bag and the times up on the board, the quickest times as possible. The first Can-Am so far has crossed the line with the fastest lap, well, the time so far for the stage. I want to say lap time, but it's just a stage time, of course. Lucas van der Merwe, and Tommy could see us sideways in the old school Toyota Corolla, loving that. That's what we used to see in the sort of 70s and 80s with these kind of machines. That box-shaped Toyota, arguably one of the best rally cars involved in South African rallying at that stage, and certainly still able to fly around rally courses here today at the WOMZA National Rally Championship. Speaking of old school, well, it's pretty much not much older than this one, as it comes into sight for the very first time. A Mark 1 Escort lighting it up. And Rocky Reinecker and Krista Ackerman certainly loving life in their Class C Ford Escort Mark 1. Great to see that, and also sort of in that old Ford, old school rally colours as well. Great to see them sticking with the old school colouring, and of course the white wheels, synonymous with that particular machinery. Coming down here and hard on the brakes, the Palaces are at it, and they're in the Toyota Taz, like the newer machinery, but also another car that has got great rally heritage. We saw it last year with these two. They really have got what it takes, and hopefully we'll be at the front end by the time we get to the end of the day's racing. And the Palaces, of course, going to be fighting hard, as I mentioned earlier on, with those Class C competitors. And Class C is going to be a battle royal, there's no doubt about today. Coming down on the brakes now, 291 in the Volkswagen Golf. Looks like a Golf 4 or 5, if I'm not mistaken, that Rob Sartain and Tasha Stapria are piloting today. I'll be looking to try and get through these fields as quickly as possible and get to the front end if they can. Not always easy to be in Class B. Class B also a very competitive category. It's the first of our Class B competitors we've seen come through here and setting the pace early on in the Golf. This is always a car to watch out for. Christo Duplessis and Chanel Barnard in the Ford Capri. We saw them last year very much at the front end of Class B battles. Looks like more of the same here as they get to grips with that awesome looking little Ford Capri. Not quite the Piranha version of the Ford Capri, but it certainly has got a great turn of pace, and it's eating things up here in the fields of Bronkhorstspruit. The Autobar 100 certainly starting off really nicely. Nissan Skylines have always been synonymous with South African rallying, and Petrus Botha and Morne Wilken have got a great example of one right there as they get into the thick of it for the first time and into these very, very tricky conditions on stage 1. See just how hard it is with that slightly bigger car to try and get it through tighter sections. Looking for an opportunity to be at the front end if they can by the time the stage closes. And that's certainly what they're going to try and do there in that big Nissan Skyline. Sticking with the Nissan brand, but going back a little bit in heritage, a Datsun GX 1200 in full flight with Renault Duster van Rensburg and Gert Vos behind the wheel. 240, no, not the 240Z, but certainly a 1200 GX that has got a good little turn of pace there and fighting for Class B honours. That's great to see. It's stepping up there. It's going to have a battle on its hands. Competitive class is Class B. We've got that Nissan 350Z. A lot of Nissan and Datsun products in Class B this time out. And speaking of Datsun products, let's go back from the GX to the GX Coupe. There you go. Great examples of both of those rally cars. A lot of them actually competing in the historic racing series around the country as well. To see it in rally livery with Andries and Johan van Jaarsveld having a fantastic day so far as they try to keep the dust down and get the pace up as quickly as possible.
Renault Duster. I'm here with Tiens Hubert. Tiens, what a machine this looks like. Very interesting, Renault Duster, but it looks mean. Can you tell us a little bit about the car?
Yeah, it's actually a Class D off-road car that we just come to play with today. We actually enrolled this car 18 months ago in the same area in an off-road event, and then we repaired it, and we've never had the chance to drive the car. We also have a S2000 Yaris that we rally. Campaign in the rally, so we haven't driven the car, so we just come to play and test it and see if everything is fun. Yeah, but it's a great car. It's a monster. It's a 5-litre V8 Ford Mustang motor that's in the car. It's got a 6-speed sequential gearbox, SADF system, of course 4-wheel drive and Riger suspension, so it can take all these jumps and humps like your normal sedan on a tar road. So that's a fantastic car to drive.
So how much of this Renault Duster is still a Renault Duster?
Well, let's walk around and I'll show you.
Okay, we'll keep our social distance as we walk around.
The badge, as you can see, the badge is definitely Renault. It's definitely a Renault badge. The lights. No, I'm just joking. So this is it's actually a space frame type of car. So they build the cage and the frame, and then we've got this Renault shell that we use. So the only part on the car is basically the body parts. That's Renault.
I understand you had a little bit of an incident earlier this morning.
Yeah, I think it's when you start playing around with different events, the timing works differently. So in normal rallies that we campaign, you start from the service park out of the time control. There's more time controls in between. So me and my navigator got a bit confused with the time control. So when we got to the start of the stage, we were already clocked. They started the clock and I was busy fitting the helmet still. So we lost time there, but we're making it up now.
Well, it's not quite 4x4 and 5-litre V8, but Gerald Klopper and Mari Ducassi are looking pretty good in the Toyota Auris, looking for a possibility of being the top Class C contender here in Stage 2. Stage 2, having a fantastic outing so far. It's the longest stage of the rally, 21 Ks, and there's a couple of big jumps thrown into the middle. So we'll have to keep an eye on those big jumps and what kind of damage they could possibly do to cars, particularly like this one. Johan de Bruin and JP Jordan, once again, in their incredible little 350Z. Great to see that car in full flight and not really purpose-built for rallying, I have to say. Cecil Lani looking good at this point in time as they go flying through there. They're also in a Can-Am Maverick, so possibilities of moving up through the stage there, and also looking for a chance to move up in Class A overall as well. Kenneth and Kamani Fenter doing a great job in their little Toyota Taz. It's the first time we've seen them. There's one of the big jumps you've got to keep an eye on. And that jump you've got to be very wary of, because remember that coming into these jumps, some of them have got actually little double humps to them. So there'll definitely be some caution to the driver from Bruce to Linton as the Swattons come through there in their works impressive Subaru. Good run so far from them, looking for a chance to move up in the overalls as well. All the Swattons, they can keep it all together. There's a good possibility that's exactly what's going to happen. High flying this time from the second of the Can-Ams, and still maintaining a really decent pace. Looks like a little bit of issues here for the GX Coupe though. Oh, that's not quite the pace we want to be seeing out of that one. In fact, with the co-pilot's helmet off, you can see there's definitely an issue. Yes, big problems here for Andries and Joanne in the GX Coupe. Not quite sure what's gone down there, but certainly not the way they wanted to be finished. Stopping in front of the camera, they're getting out to see if they've got some cell phone reception. Hope they can get sorted out and get back to get that car sorted for Stage 3. Looks like they've managed to find it. I wonder if that might be Cell C, or it's definitely not Vodacom. But anyway, let's see if they got it all sorted out. Well, jumping over the fence right in front of the camera and falling is one way to get onto the coverage. And there you go. Trying to find the coverage to get the team back there to sort them out.
Can you tell us a little bit how you're experiencing the rally so far and how's it going?
No problem. First stage went very well. We had a lead of 24 seconds. And then the second stage, or the longest stages, our car only goes about 130, 132. Where the other cars are going 170, 180. And then, yeah, we got some boost problems. I think that's putting us into limp mode. But we're sorting it out now.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about this machine you have here? What gives you an edge above the other guys, seeing that you can only do 132? Is it the suspension chassis?
Is a big part of it. And then 1000 cc with a turbo, and we got four-wheel drive.
Back out on track now for Stage 3. Oh, and there's some high-flying cars out there. There really are. The guys and girls are holding nothing back now as they get into the thick of it. And the 29 car of Johan Strauss already starting to put the pressure on at the front end and looking for a possibility of an overall victory here in the very first round of this incredible championship from WOMZA, the National Rally Championship. It's the Auto Bar 100. And it's going to be a battle, I think, between the Subaru, the Can-Am Maverick, and possibly here Tiens and his co-driver Nico Swart starting to put the pressure on at the front end in that big 5-litre V8 4x4 Renault Duster. Pace of it. Listen to the sound of that thing as well. It sounds so good as it comes flying through here. But this is also another car that is in big time for the front end contention here. And the way that Bradbury and Burtis are going, definitely got a chance to possibly take this first round of the championship. Flying through those middle fields, making it absolutely brilliant stuff so far from that car. And a big battle at the front end. Jens Joubert, Hans Strauss, and Bradbury and Burtis are all looking for opportunities to be the front car in Class A and the overall victor on the day. Oh, late on the brakes there from the 350Z. Absolutely brilliant stuff to see Johan de Bruin get it sideways and eventually get back out through into the mini fields. This is great stuff. Fantastic that the farmers have come on board to help us out as well, to give us these incredible little playgrounds to play with. And Kobus and the team behind the organisation of this rally have certainly gone all out to ensure that we've got some great places to play. Once again, Gerald Klopper and Mari doing a magic job, starting to become a bit of a threat here. And they're certainly looking for a chance and actually moving up to a possibility of a top 4 overall. That's an incredible drive coming out of the two of them. And for a Class C car to go and beat out a couple of Class A cars certainly shows they've got what it takes. Kenneth and Kamani continuing out there in the number 113. Little Toyota Taz just doing everything right at this point in time. Moving up nicely and, of course, moving into contention for possible 2nd overall at this point in time in Class C. The 11 car of Tiki Martin and Jaco Forster. I think they've moved up to 3rd overall in Class C as well there, so it's a bit of a fight between the Toyotas at this stage for Class C. Speaking of Toyotas, here we go. Let's go back to that old school machinery. Always nice to see this man giving it stick out there and giving it everything he can as well in the Toyota Corolla. Lucas van der Merwe and Tommy Kutsia putting that box-shaped Toyota to its full potential out in a rally stage. That is such a great shot from our Two Sport team. Massive cloud of dust. And you can see that the rain that we've had over the Gauteng region hasn't really affected the rally stage too much to keep the dust down. But the dust is, of course, being set at the front end by the Renault Duster, but take nothing away from that little Mark 1 Escort. Here we go. I mentioned them earlier on. Look at this. Absolutely hauling now through stage 4. You can see Bradbury looking to take the stage win here if possible. So repeat of the stage from earlier on, so they know this jump, which means they can hit it probably a little bit better, and that's exactly what Johan Strauss is doing, looking for a stage 4 victory and to move into potentially an overall win as well. A little bit easier from the Taz as they go through there for stage 4, but taking it nonetheless not so gingerly. Here comes the Duster. This little jump shouldn't be too much of an issue there for that big machine, with the additional suspension from the off-road truck and the additional power. There you go. That's how you do it. 777 moving up into possibilities of a 3rd overall here for the stage and making up the ground that they lost earlier on in stage number 1. Tiki and Jaco continue their attempts to be at the front end of Class C. Class B, still a big battle in Class B as well. Right now, De Bruin looks like there might be the faster cars out there at this point in time, but we'll keep an eye on that. And Lucas van der Merwe and Tommy Kutsia also looking for a chance to be there too. But the Volkswagen Golf with a little bit of work to do, dropping back ever so slightly. 1200 GX in full flight, continuing to do some super work out there when it comes to the form of motorsport. And of course, unfortunately, what happens is you get a commentator's curse. And that little GX, unfortunately, has parked on the sideline.
Johan, how's it going?
So it's actually going well. Stage 1 was a bit slippery. It was quite wet. Stage 2, we got more into the groove. Stage 3 was an awesome stage. We went flat out. I think we made up a lot of time there. And stage 4, we again had a few issues. But I think we're doing well. But it's exciting, it's awesome, it's lucky to be in the rally car.
How is the car feeling?
Today the car is actually doing well. The grass is a bit long, so we get a lot of grass in the radiator, so it's heating issues. After each stage I must quickly clean it. But the car is actually handling better today. Speed is awesome.
Navigator, Alzon. By a smile I can tell you're having fun. Are you enjoying it?
I'm enjoying it a lot. I made a few mistakes, but my driver got me back on track. So yeah, it's going good.
When you say mistakes, just for the people watching at home, what kind of mistakes are we talking about? Do you take the wrong route, navigation errors, or is it more the small details?
It's more the small details, like I'm too late on the notes, calling the right nines, like it's a very important turn, calling it too late, so then it's trouble from there on.
Okay, fantastic. Good luck to both of you for the rest of the stages.
Over the halfway stage now and heading into the battlefields once again. De Bruyn and Jordan in the 350Z looking to try and wrap things up here for Class B if they can. Stage 5 is going to be a difficult one. It's going to be hard pressed to be at the front end. They're going to be pushed hard by Van der Merwe and Kutsia in the Toyota Corolla box shape. We'll see whether or not they can do anything about keeping them off their tail. Nissan 350Z versus a Toyota box shape rally car from the 70s and 80s, and there you go, Van der Merwe and Kutsia in full flight. See just how hard they're having to push there, looking for honours, of course, in Class C, those two drivers, and they're going to definitely be in contention for a possibility of an overall victory here in Class C in the first round of the WOMZA National Rally Championship. Linton and Bruce still going at it. Haven't really been on the front end pace as much as what we would like to. They're currently down in about 10th and 11th overall and starting to make their way back up to the front end, but looking for a chance now for a good overall in this stage. Stage 5, of course, a bit of a difference. Similar kind of look and feel to it in the farmlands that we've been given to play with here today. Needless to say, something completely different. Cecil and Aladis doing a super job now, recovering nicely for Class A, and where they're going to end up by the end of this one, hopefully will be in the top 10. I'll be looking for a possibility of also moving through the ranks in Class A and in the overall ranks for the rally as they get to the end of this one. Can-Am Maverick side by side is certainly a beast to handle, and it seems to be handling the conditions today as well, if not better than Petrus and Moloney at this point in time in the big skyline. Have a listen to that. It's absolutely awesome to hear that thing in full flight. And of course, climbing onto the brakes, sliding through there. The bigger cars are definitely going to battle through these kind of conditions, but when they get onto the open stuff, that's where they're going to be in their element. Nice to see that Andries and Jean have got that all sorted out. The GX Coupe back up and running, and looking for a chance now to be, well, of course, they're the only Class D competitors out there, but they'll be looking to try and take on some of the Class C and B runners, and maybe even some of the Class A runners if they're able to get better times here in Stage 5. Haven't seen them since the beginning of the rally, but they're still out there. Rinus Plomp and Hannes Pienaar in the Subaru Forester. Plomp, of course, a seasoned campaigner in the Subaru brand. Look at this slightly different way of going through here. You can see jumps and bumps being put into it by the organisers and making it a very tricky little chicane and an exit point with a big jump as well. So quite a dangerous little section to come into. They seem to have handled it quite nicely. Let's see what Kenneth and Kamani can do right now as they come through there nicely in the little Toyota Taz. Slightly lower slung vehicle, so probably battle over the little jump section. Let's see how it goes on the exit point. Coming up to that little jump now. Let's see. No problem. Nicely done, and smooth sailing off into the distance and leaving the dust in their way. Speaking of leaving dust, has anybody got an answer to these guys? Dean Bradbury and Timothy Burtis absolutely hauling around in their little Can-Am Maverick side by side. The battle is on at the front end between the Maverick, the Subaru Impreza of Strauss and Fenter, and of course Joubert and Swartz in the Renault Duster. Cecil and Lardis are definitely want to be at the front end, but lost a little bit of ground earlier on. They are making up ground, and over the last two stages have finished both just outside the top 5. So moving into stage 6 now, they'll also be looking for a chance to try and just change up their luck ever so slightly and see whether or not they can find something special here in the closing stages. After some early misfortune, looks like that car now all sorted out, the side-by-side Can-Am Maverick. Slowly but surely starting to get back into the thick of it. Not quite in the top 10 just yet, but definitely starting to move up the field nicely. The big Ford Capri once again in full flight and into the braking point there. You can see how it got out of shape there for Duplessis. Managed to catch it and got back up and exits very nicely. Good job there from them as they continue to look for a top finish. The Swattons are at it again. And now looking for a chance to just up the pace ever so slightly from their point of view. Inside the top 10 is what they've aimed for this stage. The Fenters, as they come into the thick of it as well now. And now it's all about survival. You've got to just try and ensure that you don't make any mistakes, don't clip any curbs that are not supposed to be clipped. That's exactly what Ventus has done. And try and stay out of the dust of the car in front of you. You might be catching up onto a slightly slower vehicle in front, and that always causes hassles for a rally driver and navigator. Missing points, missing turn-in points, maybe missing some markers, warning them about the danger. Tiki Martin and Jaco Forster are definitely not looking to do any of that. Little Etios has not put a wheel wrong all day, and they're looking for a chance to finish up overall nicely in Class C. Those Dunlop tyres have certainly worked hard today and kept it all together for the last couple of stages. Here is the man who's in contention for a possible win, though. If Johan Strauss and Elzaan Venter can finish this one up at the top end of this stage, the possibility of the overall victory will be heading towards the Subaru team. I'll be definitely happy with that. Rinus Plomp will be just outside of the top 3 and off the podium, so you're a little bit concerned about that, but he's had a great day, and needless to say, in the Subaru Forester. And if he keeps it all together over the next couple of rounds of this championship, will certainly be in contention in the Forester. Very seasoned campaigner, both in the dirt as well as on track, and always behind the Subaru brand when it comes to his racing career. Right on their tail though, and pushing hard for a possible win. And what a recovery though, I've got to say, for these guys. Tiens Jabert and Nico Swartz, after starting almost 3.5 minutes down the road, have made up a huge amount of ground and are in contention for a potential second place here as they get into the final part of the day's racing. So they're certainly not holding anything back here and wanting to get to that finish line as quickly as possible and potentially spoil the day there for the Subaru team. Toyota Auris, also fantastic rally heritage in that machine and with that brand. Toyota piloting from Corolla into the Taz's, and of course multiple SA championships coming out of the Toyota Taz's, out of the Auris, out of the Etios as well. And it's great to see that the Toyota brand still being flown high here at the front end of the WOMZA National Rally Championship. Walter and de Villiers. Running a bit wide there. They've really had a battle today, but have shown some potential, that is for sure. Let's see whether or not they can put that all together now, possibly into the next round. So at this point in time, I think they may be finishing just outside the top 10 and looking for an opportunity to come back in round 2 to change up their luck. It hasn't quite gone according to plan here today. This is a good story as well. After a tough mid part of the rally, they managed to get their car sorted out. Now into the dust as we follow them there with the drone and hauling across the top of those cane fields. Well, not cane fields, but of course you could call them that if we were in KwaZulu-Natal. It's the mealie fields, of course, of Bronkhorstspruit. That little GX Coupe. Still having a fantastic day and looking for probably going to be the last car on track to finish up officially, but take nothing away from the ability and the amount of work that was done by the team to get them back on track. Bradbury and Burtis have pushed hard, but I think they may just be found wanting slightly here at the end of the day. Could possibly just be pipped to the line by a couple of seconds by that incredible Renault Duster that Tiens Jabert and Nico Swartz. Ever thought you'd see a Can-Am Maverick side by side taking on a fully built off-road truck, a Subaru Forester and a Subaru Works Impreza in a national championship rally? Well, you'll find it here at WOMZA. That's exactly what's happening. Plum pushing hard, but I think he's also going to be found just a couple of minutes off the back end of the pace at the front end of this field. So, what was that? Children of the Corn in the background. Yes. We're not supposed to have any spectators, but of course there are farmers there and we are on their land. So a big thanks to the farmers for giving us all the support to put this event together. Also, a massive thanks to all the sponsors behind the scenes. It's always great to have championships of this nature happening. We can't do it without those sponsors, so big up to all of those guys who have helped out here throughout the day's racing. Into stage 8 now, of course, the final stage of the rally. And it's now time to just survive and get to the end. The potentials for the overall. That's where we need to be concentrating right now. No mistakes can be made. Because Is it going to be Strauss and Fenter? Is it going to be Joubert or Swartz? It's not going to be Martin or Foster, although they could be in contention for a win or top 3 in Class C. Etios, as I said, going really well throughout the day's racing. And, no mistakes from them. Walter de Villiers, third of those Can-Ams. We're going to be looking for a possibility of the third Can-Am overall as well, but looks like they might be just outside that top 10 in the overall standings. That's a great shot. The Bronkhorstspruit area, synonymous with rally, synonymous with off-road racing, both two-wheeled and four-wheeled racing. That's happened here in the history of both championships here in South Africa. And now, of course, showing us exactly what the WOMZA National Championship have got in store for us for 2021. Oh, the classic rally shot there from the drone. High up over the little GX Coupe with the dust flying in the background, hitting the dust, hitting those big curves, coming through the chicane, lighting it up. He knows he's on camera. That's the way to do it. Certainly going to ensure that you get on camera if you get the car sideways. And if True Sport have got anything to do about it, they're certainly going to make sure that they get that onto the coverage. Here we go, Strauss and Fenter, potential race winners here and rally winners for round 1 of the WOMZA Championship. This will be an incredible run from them. They have been pushed hard right into the closing stages by the Renault Duster. But they've kind of left everybody, and no pun intended, in their dust today. And that's why. Look at the confidence of Johann Strauss with Alzon telling him exactly what he needs to do. Coming across the line. There you go. Final special stage of this first round of the championship is all done and dusted. Standing by with those overall results as all the cars make their way through the checkpoint. Make sure that they've got everything stamped and signed and sealed so that there's no mistakes in terms of the timing. It certainly is going to be pretty tight between the first 3 cars on track. About 45 seconds. And that's the split between Strauss and Fenter, Joubert and Swartz, and Bradbury and Burtis for Class A. A little bit further down there, of course, for Rinus Plomp and Hannes Pienaar. They'll certainly be looking to come back at the next round of this championship if they can get it all right. And they'll definitely be in contention for a win at some point during the championship.
Well, it's our first rally ever. We bought Guy Botterell's S16. I think he won 4 or 5 championships, national championships in the vehicle. And today was our ever first rally that we've ever been in. So the car is new, co-driver is new, and I myself as a driver is new. So it was a learning experience, I think, for all of us. But the car's there. The car's got everything that it needs. It's basically just to us as the driver and navigator to use the instruments that we actually need. We had a clean run. 1 or 2, 3
Hairy moments.
Hairy moments.
Give us one of them.
Yeah. So stage 2, taking the first jump, our bonnet flipped open right over the windscreen, so we had to drive another 100 meters without seeing anything in front of us. But otherwise, 2 or 3 stalls, but that's the thing. You're going to learn out of that. But I must say, as from there, running quite well.
Second overall and second Class A. We spoke a little bit earlier today. How was the rest of the stages?
No, it was awesome. Listen, as I told you from the beginning, we had the car here to have the setup sorted out and to come and play with it. And you can see the second half of the day we had the setup sorted, and you can see it on the stage time. So we had a jaw. It was a great day. Good stages, well marked. I mean, we really enjoyed this rally. It was awesome. And there's good competition. I mean, at the end of the day, there was 22 seconds separating first and second in our class and overall. So I think that's what we want in rally. Keep spectators at the stages. They want to see somebody fighting for a win, and that's what it's all about. So no, we really enjoyed it, and the crowd was great. It was awesome.